Bar and Grill, located at the corner of Huntoon and Gage here in the capital city of Kansas. For the next hour, we'll be talking all things Washburn football here at your Washburn Coaches Show. That is right, Jake LeBon. We'll be talking with head coach Craig Shurg of the Washburn Ichabods. We'll also be talking to assistant coach and defensive coordinator for the Washburn Ichabods, Zach Watkins, will be joining us as well. We've got a lot to get to as we'll recap the win against the Central Missouri Mules, and we'll preview the game coming up on Saturday against the Nebraska Kearney Lopers when Washburn squares off against a former top 25 team and a team that beat them a year ago. Welcome to Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Plenty of people here geared up for a big game in the NFL. You got the Chiefs taking on the Chargers. That is right. And if you want to listen to that with the Chiefs Radio Network, you can tune into our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, and check out the Chiefs versus the Chargers. 7:15 kickoff. And if you want to have a good time watching the Chiefs, come on out here right now to Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Great food, great drink specials. Thursdays is the wing special here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. So come out, get some of their fantastic wings. They've also got great giveaways here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. If you want to, come on out here. They're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways here during this Thursday night football game, for Kansas City taking on the Chargers. But we're going to talk all things at Washburn football on this edition of the Washburn Coaching Show as we bring in head coach Craig Shurg of the Washburn Ichabods. And Craig, my very first question I've got for you is a simple one. Who do you got, Chiefs, Chargers?
Well, as good as the Chiefs looked last week, you got to go with the Chiefs, and they're at home. Chargers, are dangerous, obviously, but the Chiefs look awesome.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's just round two for them.
Are you a Mahomes guy, or are you a Herbert guy, or
Mahomes is one of those rarities. I think he's one of those guys that you see once in a lifetime type of player. He's incredible. I don't get to see Herbert that much, but he's. I mean, obviously his highlights are amazing, but Mahomes, we're so lucky because you get in this area, you get to see him every week, and he's like a Michael Jordan of basketball type player.
And I've said this, I started getting into football at about, I'm remembering when I was 10 years old, around 10. I remember Scott Norwood, wide right, when the Bills lost, and then I remember, Joe Montana playing for the Chiefs. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the Lynn Elliott game. I remember all that. And then we had for 25 years terrible quarterback play, and now you get the guy that they're showing on TV right now, Patrick Mahomes. And all I can think about is these 10-year-old kids. The next time the Chiefs are going to have a different quarterback, they're going to be 25.
Hopefully that's right. Yeah.
Because he's only 26 years old, so for the next 14 years he's going to play for the Chiefs.
That'd be awesome.
And they're spoiled.
Yeah.
These
young
young kids are spoiled. When we had to go through the likes of Steve DeBerg and Dave Craig and Trent Green was good, but we never did anything. And then you got Tyler Palco and Brody Croyle and Kyle Orton, and I'm just like, you Chiefs young kids don't know what it's like
to suffer. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's right. But they don't. We really respect it.
Yes.
And don't take it for granted.
We know what it's like on the other side. That is for sure. Well,
he's amazing.
Come on out here to Skinny Sports Bar and Grill, and we'll take a look and watch the Chiefs taking on the Chargers. Well, the Washburn Ichabods, they're 2-0 on the year, looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2013 after their 40-32 victory over the UCM Mules, and it was one of the more wild games that Washburn has had. It's a tough place to play. Last time Washburn beat Central Missouri in Warrensburg was 2006. 2006. Zach Watkins was a freshman at that time at Washburn. So it's been a while, but a big victory and a wild one. You have a 12-point deficit to a 14-point lead all in a span of 2 quarters. But you come away with the win and a big road win at that.
Yeah, we definitely faced some adversity. They got off to a fast start, obviously, and kind of had us on our heels a little bit. We squandered some scoring opportunities, but then hung in there. And so when we went in at halftime, we felt pretty good as coaches, and the players did too. It felt like, hey, offensively we could move the ball, we could run and throw on them. We felt like we had some advantages with their secondary. And then defensively, we had kind of found our groove and started really shutting down their offense. And we played a really good third quarter.
Yeah,
I mean,
21 Zippo.
That's the way this team can play, too. Got some turnovers. We were explosive on offense. And pretty soon the game's flipped. I think we can do that. We don't want to get into deficits. But I think this team, as long as we can be more consistent, we have that in us where we can really make things click. We have the talent to do that on both sides of the ball and special teams.
Very rarely does an offense put up that many points when you turn it over 3 times.
Right.
But you put up 40 points with 3 turnovers, and this offense throwing the football really clicked in a lot of different ways. You had JJ catch 2 more touchdowns. Yep. Peter Apple catches 2 passes, and when he catches 2 passes, that means he catches 2 touchdowns. You're going to get on board with it, Coach. All Peter Apple does is catch touchdowns. And then you had a phenomenal screen pass to Talon Peters, who somehow looked like J.J. Letcher, making people miss for the score, and that was outstanding. But that offense really shows that when it gets rolling and the guys are locked in and the O-line's giving everybody time, this is a dangerous offense.
It is, and we have those receivers. Kellen has a very strong arm and can be very accurate. And then our offensive line is good. So, we want to be a balanced team. We want to be able to run the football because you need to be able to run it at certain times, and we hope to get that part of the game clicking even more. But yeah, our greatest weapon as far as when we go against the defense is our ability to throw the ball, and those guys can all do something with it. And our tight ends really haven't gotten involved yet much, but they're really good too. So hopefully
3 good tight ends.
Yeah, hopefully we can continue to spread it out, make teams have to cover the whole field. And as you saw, whether it was Colin or JJ or Peter or others, they can do something after they catch the ball. And like Talon did, catches a little screen route. Mm-hmm. We had some good blocking initially, and then he just made a great run. But we have some guys that can really, in space, do something special with the football. And, as coaches, I think Coach Schwinn and Coach Semino have done a good job of designing plays to get those guys the ball.
We're talking with head coach Craig Shirk here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill for the Washburn Coaches Show. Washburn kicks off on Saturday, 1 o'clock, 12:30 pregame coverage right here on mycountry1069.com or also 1069 on the FM dial as Washburn taking on the Lopers. Washburn 2-0, taking on the Lopers, who are 1-1. They're coming off a loss to Pittsburgh State. We'll get into that just here in a little bit. But was there a play that stood out to you in that game that was a big momentum-shifting play that either one big momentum shifter, right, or, hey, that was a key play for us to keep things going, to keep the comeback alive, or, to stop their comeback?
Right out of the gate in the third quarter, we had a real good drive and we score. And then I think the turnover that Bruner got, we had already we scored, and it just seemed like we were in a full court press at that point.
One play, the Bruner INT, and it felt like, off and running.
Yep. And it just felt like we had all the momentum, and we seized. To have it's disheartening to them as a home team. They have the lead, and before they can even catch their breath, they're behind by 2 scores.
Mm-hmm.
So. That was big, and hopefully we can do that in various games this year, where the pressure that we put on teams, you make them crack a little bit, because we feel like we have that style of team.
How big was being down just 24-19 at that?
Yeah, that was big. We finished well, got a nice touchdown, towards to J.J. Letcher. With the way that first half went. We could have been down 2 scores very mm-hmm. easily, and just to be down 5 points, we felt good. Like I said, we would get the ball first.
Yep.
We deferred, we get the ball, and felt like everything was kind of clicking on offense. We just had to stop, making some mistakes. And our guys were confident. You could just tell by the way they talked and the way they're looking in their eye that they felt like, we kind of overcame this initial adversity. And like you said, playing on the road. And Central's a good football team, but playing on the road in that atmosphere, it was a good test for our team for sure.
Defensively, you only give up 8 points in the second half, which is an outstanding effort. And when I feel bad for the defensive line because I can't talk about all 10 of them.
Yeah.
But it shows. It
Yeah.
shows the fact that you can run in 4 guys and another 4 guys, And I always try to, all right, who's on the D-line on this series? Okay, you got Braden, you got Landon, you got Altenor. I think Piper's in there. And then it seems like the next series, okay, you got Chase, you got Justice, you got McCoy, Keener's in there. It's just – and they don't – there's no drop-off.
There's not a big drop-off.
And I think that is a huge benefit.
Yeah.
You're only up by 8, and the defense had to get not 1, but 2 stops there at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was probably the most disappointing part of the game from me as a head coach was we didn't put the game away as an offense, and we got in a stressful punting situation twice, and then we put all the pressure on the defense to get it done, and they did. But we need to do a better job of running that 4-minute offense and just don't give the ball back because we feel like we have that style of offense that can do that, and we didn't get it done. But, yeah, I think that helps us for sure. In the fourth quarter, we don't have D-line that is exhausted. They can still attack. And I thought their quarterback, really did a good job. I mean, we had him
how he didn't get sacked is incredible.
The whole night, and then he would – he probably had close to 100 yards, I think, but he had to work for all of them. I would bet he was one tired dude the next day because he scrambled very well. He was a good scrambler. And but our guys just kept the hunt. It wasn't like they got tired, and like you said, that substitution really helps.
The Ichabod linebacker, he's wearing number 43. It plays a lot like the guy who was an All-American wearing number 43. I don't know if you know, but Graham Bruner leads the Division II ranks in tackles. 17 per game. He's got 2 interceptions. It's one of the best linebacker games that I can remember. One of the best linebacker games that I remember was Mike Gonzalez against Pittsburgh State. He had 20 tackles. That was one that I remember. He had a big forced fumble. Yeah. But Grant was everywhere. That's one of the more impressive performances that I've seen. What play did you think outside? You mentioned the interception, but what play kind of stood out for you?
Yeah, there's so many that he bringing up Gonzo. That's a good one. I like that. He's just all over the place, So he's really a sure tackler. But I mean, with that quarterback, the way he was scrambling,
he's side to side. And
Grant, I mean, he put in a lot of mileage, and he took really good angles. But there were so many plays that he made. He wasn't responsible for this play, but probably one of the bigger plays in the game was when the quarterback did take off. He got to about the 3-yard line, and our guys, I think it was Peyton Lane and D-Mac hit him and caused a fumble. We got the fumble in the end zone. But Grant just made play after play, and his ability to get the guy down with some of those solo tackles is awesome.
The other individual I want to make note of didn't play last year. We're going to hear from him coming up in the pregame for our Washburn player profile. But Jamison Phelps, 3 pass breakups. Outside of the one long pass that they had, and it was more so a brain cramp. Washburn tried to strip the football. They didn't tackle Arkell Smith. But outside of that, their passing game was really non-existent. And I thought Jamison played very well.
Yeah, like you mentioned, they had the one bust. We had the one bust on a bunch of guys going for the strip, which we teach, but someone got to do the tackle. And I was just like, wow, did that just happen? It did. But I thought our defensive secondary played great that game, minus that play. And J-Mo made some great plays in that fourth quarter. They had a couple under routes. He made one in particular on a 4th down.
Yep.
And their best receiver, and I mean, just took him down, very much short of the first down. Huge play. And those are hard to cover. Those crossing under routes with man coverage are tough. That's why you run them versus man. And if you shake that tackle, you've got a lot of real estate. So, he played exceptional. And I thought Christian Clark played very well also.
The Washburn Ichabods 2-0 on the year, coming off a 40-32 win over the Central Missouri Mules. We will get to a little bit more of some individual efforts. We'll hear some highlights. We have another edition of questions from the former head coach Craig Schurig. This one, not like one of your first couple of years.
Okay.
So just to give you a little hint. That's all I'm going to give you. But we got another question for head coach Craig Schurig. And we'll talk with Zach Watkins to see what this defense is going to do with one of the more electric running back quarterbacks out there in TJ Davis of Nebraska Kearney. That's all coming up here from Skinny's Sports Bar and Grill. So you've got some highlights from Washburn's victory over the Central Missouri Mules. Washburn taking care of business 40-32, and some of those highlights are an incredible plays. I mean, that game had highlights left and
cool
right.
Right.
And normally, it's 40-32. There's no defensive plays. No, there's 2 interceptions, a lot of just big plays in a game between Washburn and Central Missouri, which is sometimes fun, but I'm also going to say that sometimes it's not as fun for a coach, I'd imagine, in certain situations. So when you're down 12, you don't want to panic.
No.
So what do you try to tell all your players?
Yeah, we kind of told them before the game, even leading up, on that Thursday, or not Thursday, but like the Wednesday before, we're going to face adversity on the road against a team. I mean, they're going to make plays too. They have good players, and what if we're down? Do we panic, and or do we have confidence? When you're a confident team, when you're a poised team, you're going to come back. And we really felt that way on the sidelines. There was if they got off to that fast start, and for the most part it was, hey, you're fine defense, we'll get back, and likewise when we had the turnovers, defense stepped up. So the guys were just very poised, and that's good to see. You don't want to be on a roller coaster, and you want to enjoy the highlights, and it gives you energy. But you can't be high one moment, low the next. You just got to keep that steady intensity. And I feel like this team has that. We have a lot of veteran guys. But that game had more, explosive plays than most for sure. And great. I mean, it's great to see us, keep our poise and be able to come through with more plays than they did. I will say this: your highlights are awesome, and I love listening to Fletch giggle. I mean, that laugh just kills me, and it's really cool. But yeah, it's awesome, and the excitement that you bring to the audio is special.
We're talking with head coach Craig Shirk here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill, located at the corner of Hunt Tuna Gage here in the capital city. It's starting to fill up with a bunch of Chiefs fans.
Yes,
I can tell you this: if you want to watch the game, come on out here to Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't have Amazon Prime and you're like, I don't want to deal with it, drive here to Skinny's. Every single TV, I'm looking, and every single TV has the Chiefs game on it right now. So come down to Skinny's. Kickoff's at 7:15. You can get here. The special today is their wing special. That's right. Minimum of 6 wings. It's $1 a wing. You cannot beat it here at Skinny's Sports Bar and Grill. So come out here to Skinny's. And don't forget their lunch special every single Monday through Friday during the week, 11 to 2, cheeseburger and fries at just $5.49. You cannot beat it here at Skinny's. But come on out if you want to watch the Chiefs take on the Chargers with a whole bunch of Chiefs fans. It might get a little bit rowdy here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill.
Be a lot of people calling in sick tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, especially if the game is a little bit tight and a little bit nervous. For several Chiefs fans. Exactly. I do have to bring up kind of some play clock situations of what occurred in the NFL.
Yeah.
As the head coach,
right?
How do you process all of that? Because Nathaniel Hackett, he struggled, obviously.
Sure.
Didn't call a timeout when he should have, and then decided to call a timeout, and then that wasted, and you lost 40 seconds, and then you went for a 64-yard field goal instead of 4th and 5. What goes through your mind as a head coach trying to make these decisions?
Yeah, obviously it's a lot different when you're out there. When you're watching the TV, you're kind of like, geez, what is he doing? You guard those timeouts in the second half in particular. First half, you may screw with a timeout or two, but second half, you're like, no, they're precious because you know how important they are at the end of the game. And I think sometimes you get too guarded. They had multiple timeouts, and so you didn't have to be that guarded. You're really guarded with one left. And the only thing I can think of is they once they got to that certain yard mark, they're like, we got a field goal in our pocket. We can milk the clock, kick it, and win. But I mean, that was a long way. I mean, the percentages didn't. So the clock management, I'm sure he'll improve with that. And
Is there anything to prepare you for doing that? Because you've been a coach now, and that's the first time he's been a head coach.
Yeah,
so I don't
run
know
those drills. I mean, we do a 2-minute drill every Thursday, or we do them all the time in practice. Surely on the headset too, you've got, if the head coach has a brain freeze or you get lost for some reason on the time, you got coaches telling you, hey, we should take a timeout, take a timeout. And yeah, that was surprising. And it doesn't happen too often that much. But I think sometimes coaches get all too guarded with the timeouts. And it can cost you, especially when you have multiple. I mean, if you use one and you maybe could have spiked it or you could have got the play off, the plays were too valuable at that point to get a rushed play. So I just think sometimes coaches get too guarded with the timeouts. They're precious, but if you have three, they're not that precious. You can burn one, and it's not going to kill you.
Do you have any like a rule of thumb or anything? Like and it's not so much a lot of people are analytics.
Yeah.
This a lot of it to me is kind of how the game's going.
Right.
It's not just. I mean, I'm gonna say something
it
wild, Coach.
Computer, yeah.
Sometimes it's a combination of both.
Sure.
You need to use what's going on
Yep.
in the game plus a little bit of the
Yep.
math. But is there something for you guys where, okay, if it's 4th and 2
Right.
at the 20-yard line,
Right.
hey, we're going to go for it. Or, hey, 4th and 2, we're going to kick the field goal.
Right.
Is there something that you
Usually
feel?
before the game, you always find out how your kicker's doing, and you say, hey, what do you feel comfortable with? And the wind has a factor. In our stadiums, NFL stadiums, wind isn't as big a factor because it's so close.
Mm-hmm.
But like our game Saturday, if the wind's coming from the south, we make Cameron maybe good we get the ball to the 35. He can kick it. But going against the wind, we may have to get the ball to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of know that. You talk about that. And then you kind of know, hey, where do we have to get to for a game-winning field goal? So you do, that's game day that you decide that. But then you practice those situations all the time. And you just hope you have fresh communication with your coaches and that they're not afraid to chime in. Because someone should have been chiming in on his headset. Coach, we need to call timeout.
Yep.
And maybe that, maybe it's, I the way I do it is I'm in charge of the timeouts. No one else calls a timeout. But if I get poked, like, hey, you should call timeout. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get a timeout here. We try to stay ahead of it, as all coaches do. But you could get caught up in the moment, and he's thinking of the play. He's calling plays, too. And I think he just kind of got lost.
We're talking with head coach Craig Schurig here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Here for the Washburn Coach Show. Saturday, 1 o'clock kickoff, 12:30 pregame coverage, Washburn versus Nebraska Kearney. This is a big, big game, folks. Kearney last year went 10-3, went to the playoffs. They finished 9-2, tied with Washburn. Washburn lost to Kearney last year, 28-24, came down to the very, very end. This is a really good team. We'll preview that game coming up next, plus another edition of Questions from the Former Washburn player for Craig Schurig. That's all coming up here from Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. going to finish up with head coach Craig Schurig here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill, and then we're going to talk with the defensive coordinator, Zach Watkins. We'll see what Coach Watkins has dialed up for this game against the Nebraska Kearney Lopers and TJ Davis, and they run this spread option. They run it, they throw it. He's electric, the MIAA Offensive Player of the Year last year, a Harlan Hill finalist. He was basically their offense all last year, and he's the same this year. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. We're here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Come on out every single Thursday here. From here on out, we'll be at the Washburn Coaches Show here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill, corner of Huntoon and Gage. Thursday night is the wing special night, and tonight Chiefs are in action, so giveaways. Fantastic giveaways here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. But it is now time for another edition of a question from a former Washburn Ichabod player. Are you ready for this one, Coach?
Ready.
All righty. This is a former Washburn defensive player. Went offense last week with Kason Lehman. This week it is a former defensive player. And here is the second installment of questions from the former. So, those of you wondering what the question was, because Cody's very soft-spoken. He's not a yeller, but that is Cody Hyman, the former Baileyville B&B 8-man standout, former Washburn Ichabod linebacker, first-team All-MIAA, had a tryout and made it up there to Green Bay with the Green Bay Packers. One of the better athletes considering his size, strength, everything. But Cody Hyman's question, Coach, how have you handled, and what's been the toughest part about this game evolving? Because I don't know if you know, showing up in 2002, the game's a lot different now. So what has been kind of the biggest? And
Cody also, he's such a great athlete. We moved him to tailback. We had injuries, put him at tailback. He was a great tailback
for the SBU game. I remember.
Yeah, he did it that year, and he was really good. We had that team from Georgia that came in here, and he ran through their, they had a linebacker that was a pro prospect, and he ran him over. But Cody, phenomenal hands. He's just a tremendous athlete, and we needed him on defense. Mm-hmm. So he played linebacker, did a great job, and obviously he went to Green Bay Packers. Was in their camp and had a great shot to make it, and then he had a great job offer as utilized his education. So married and raising a family. So awesome to hear from Cody. I think the biggest change is the rules have made it where the game is very pass oriented. It opens up the game.
Do you like that?
NFL. I do, but a part of me really loves the run game and defending the run. There's a lot to it. Most people that watch a football game, they go, "Why do they just run it up the middle?" And you're right. You're like, "Why are you just running up the middle?" But there's a lot to that play. There's a lot of scheme that's involved in there. How are you going to block them? Mm-hmm. And it looks like stupid. Why just run it up and you get 3 yards? That's dumb. And you're like, well, if you block them just right, and you hit it. That 3-yarder became a 15-yarder, and that opposing team hates that. Now they're going to bring their safeties up. Now you got one-on-one coverage, and but some of the total spread teams, which they do a hell of a job. We have a hard time preparing for them. I hate it. I'm like, what do you teach? Do you what do you do with your O-line? And they have successful run games and all that stuff, but I struggle with that part of the game. I still like the part of the game where you have a fullback, quarterback's under center, mm-hmm. and you come downhill at people, and it gives the lineman a chance to get after the defense. And but now there's a mixture of it, so that's fun. And so you have teams kind of like the Chiefs are doing this year. If you become one-dimensional, eventually it gets you. But if you can do a little bit of both and you still have a physical presence, I think that's the game. The game of football is designed that way. That's what I really love about it. Whether you're defending the run is tough. So there's a lot that goes into defending the run and defending and having a good run game. But that's where I've struggled the most with when the game has flipped to a total spread system. I struggle with it. I struggle watching it. But yeah, so that's kind of been the big flip. I enjoy, giving your kids a chance to be physical up front on both sides of the ball. And there's kind of an art to it. It doesn't look pretty sometimes, but there's definitely an art to it.
What about the change in the player and the change in how you got to go? It's different now.
Oh,
it really
like
is.
Our outside, like our defense, 4-2-5, used to be more of what it was always a 4-2-5. We've always had a 4-2-5, but your outside linebackers, and when you play a 4-4, those guys used to be big, like 6'3", 215, 220, and they would hit the pulling guard. They take on the ISO. They were outside linebackers, is what they were. And now there's safeties and corners that can be physical, but they're more in space players. So it's definitely now 4-2, and you got 5 secondary guys, which most people would call that a nickel defense. That's our primary defense. But it matches up with what teams do. So it's changed a lot. The athleticism of the linebacker and safety is totally different now.
And the rules have changed for safety too.
Yep.
Completely different. And I'm talking on the field,
Yep.
With cut blocking.
Yep.
And,
Totally different.
Completely different even from 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And then also the way that you approach it. No more two-a-days. I mean, it's almost like if you had to go back, you'd be like, if somebody were to tell you this in 2002, hey, coach, this is what's going to end up happening, you'd be like, wow, what have you been drinking?
That's not going to work. Yeah. And the one thing too, the way the kids train now, and it was in your day, kids trained like that too, but they train all year round. The acclimation period, if they train, there really isn't one. You can hit the ground running. You get a lot done. The video that they have now, they're watching on their phone. The players are really football smart. I think some of the stuff they do and the Madden and all that stuff, they understand scheme and stuff.
Nathaniel Hackett didn't play a whole lot of Madden growing up, from what I can gather.
But yeah, so they're into it and they're very knowledgeable, and so it is. There's a lot of advancements that have been made. It was like when we played Harding. Harding runs a cool offense. I would hate to be on that offense. I'd hate to go practice against that offense all the time. There's not,
like Chinese water torture.
It's got its own beauty, but it's not the game that is now. And likewise, I'd hate to go against a team that is just spread all the time, and that's all they do is dink and dunk and have one run play. But more and more the teams are doing combinations, and it's a lot on the kids. But it's kind of fun, and it's fun to watch. You see very explosive plays and big plays.
We're talking with head coach Craig Shurg of the Washburn Ichabod's here on the Washburn Coaches Show. Ichabod's 2-0 on the year, taking on the 1-1 Nebraska Kearney Lopers. Washburn lost to Kearney last year, 28-24. A fantastic game, came down to the very, very end. They're 1-1, beat Pittsburgh State, or lost to Pittsburgh State.
Last play.
Last play of the game, a home run, 65-yard touchdown pass with 12 seconds to go. So kind of a I don't want to say a fluke play, but kind of a brain cramp play for them, if you will.
Yep.
But when you look at this team, we're going to talk plenty of defense with Coach Watkins. So I'll say on their defense, they pretty much held Pitt State outside of, a big play late to under 30, and under 30 is a pretty good effort. So what do they do?
Yeah, they're solid on defense. They do a lot of things. They're similar to Central's makeup, but they do different. They play it a little differently, have an experienced secondary, big D-line. Their 3 D linemen are big. So they try to churn out your run game that way with size. And then they do some really good things in the secondary to try to confuse your passing game. And they send various linebackers and safeties for their rush. But very well coached on defense. Strength of their team is they're very sound on defense. And then offensively, they hold the ball. They churn out first downs. They play keep away. You just can't let them get a couple scores ahead, because then you start pressing a little bit.
Well, Coach, it's going to be a big one. The last time Washburn went 3-0 to start the season, 2013. Ichabod's taking on the Nebraska Kearney Lopers. Best of luck against the Lopers on Saturday.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
That is head coach Craig Schurig of the Washburn Ichabods. Coming up next, we're going to talk to defensive coordinator Zach Watkins, who's going to try to slow down TJ Davis and this Loper attack. We'll get to that coming up to finish this edition of the Washburn Coaches Show. Last year, this came up in Kearney, was a back-and-forth affair. The Ichabods fell on the wrong side of things, 28-24, and then that's when Washburn started their stretch of getting to the playoffs. They went 10-3 last year to the Lopers, winning the first round of the playoffs. So this is a good team, and they know that this is a game that they got to win. So it's going to be a big one coming up on Saturday. We're here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill, the Chiefs versus Chargers game. About ready to kick off in 30 minutes at 7:15. Come on out here to Skinny's and check out the Chiefs and Chargers game. More than likely, half the population probably doesn't know how to get on Amazon Prime, so just come to Skinny's, watch it with a whole bunch of Chiefs fans. Right now, though, we're going to talk with the Washburn Hall of Famer, because before he became the defensive coordinator, he was a Washburn linebacker. He got inducted into the Washburn Hall of Fame. We bring in the defensive coordinator, Zach Watkins. And, Zach, I got two questions first. One, do they call you Hall of Fame coach Zach Watkins?
No, they do not.
They don't.
I make sure they don't. That's not a good call.
That's a lot of words, right?
Yeah.
So,
But they will call Dane Semino, Hall of Fame Dane Semino coming up, so that'll be good.
yeah, so I'm going to start calling him that.
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling Hall of Fame Dane Semino.
Yeah.
Also, I got to know, Chiefs, Chargers, you're a big Chiefs fan.
Yep.
Give me a breakdown of this game.
They were fun to watch last week. Playing on Thursday, we were able to watch the game on Sunday, and then we'll be able to watch the game tonight. So we work on Sunday, so we don't always get a chance to watch the game. So this will be a fun game. Hopefully some points scored, but Chiefs will win. Chiefs will take care of business. The home crowd will be rocking. I grew up just a few miles from Arrowhead, so it's always fun to see that place rocking. But high expectations for the Chiefs, and it's kind of going to be that way for the rest of Holmes' career, I think. So it'll be good.
What does defensive coordinator Zach Watkins do to slow down the Chiefs?
I don't know. I'm not that good. I don't know exactly how to do it, but I don't let 15 beat me. That's the only thing that you can say. You make somebody else beat you. And, at that level, they have so many athletes, so many players, but you got to kind of select their best players and make sure those best players don't hurt you.
Well, the best players for the Washburn Ichabods, he wears a familiar number 43, Grant Bruner. I got to talk about the effort. 40-32, Washburn's defense comes up big in the second half. You just give up 8 points in the second half, and I don't care what the score is. If you give up 8 points in a half in this day of football, that is a phenomenal effort. But Grant Bruner, 23 tackles, second most all time, behind 27, 2 interceptions, all over the place. What did you like best about his game? Because you know better than anybody what that position plays.
Yeah, I mean, our defense is built for those backers to run to the ball and make a bunch of plays. And Grant's been banged up throughout his career. Early in his career, played behind a few older guys that were good starters and good players for us. But I'm really excited for him being healthy, him being a leader, being a team captain. And a game like last Thursday at UCM just shows what he can do when he's healthy and when he's on his game. And he'll be a defensive leader for us the rest of the year. But the game specifically, the first interception he had right after we scored at a halftime, he picked it off, and then we scored again a few plays later. Really changed the momentum of the game to get that 14-point swing, and then just always being around the ball. That screen pass that got tipped for a second interception just really sealed the game for us and gave us a chance to win it. And but his leadership and his obviously playmaking, tackling ability has really been important for us these first 2 games.
When it comes to adjustments at halftime, they got a big play, and one of the reasons for the big play was because everybody decided to strip the ball at the same time instead of tackling the ball carrier, and that was a 68, 70-yard touchdown play. But outside of that, they only scored one other time, and they only scored once at half. What did you do at halftime? Did you give them Michael Jordan's secret sauce? Is it Zach Watkins' secret sauce that you gave them, or what was the biggest change?
Our defensive staff is awesome. We've got 5 coaches on the defensive side, and all of us have kind of a unique skill set. We all coach a position, obviously, but this is the most knowledgeable defensive staff we've kind of had and been able to get ideas at halftime and things we're doing and things that we can see. So it's definitely not me. It's the staff that we do, and it's just a great testament to our guys that we've stressed taking the ball away and punching the ball out, and stripping the ball. So that big play, things like that will happen when you're going for the ball. We told them just to forget about it and we'll play a better second half, and we did. And we always tell our guys, no matter what the score, the bottom line is to win. So if you give up 32, that's not ideal, but hey, you won the game and you're 2-0 and you can move on. But the second half effort, we adjusted to some of their passing game concepts. We ran some different things up front with the D-line. D-line's been great for us all year, and they will continue to be great for us, being able to get pressure with just those 4 guys. And so they were able to keep their quarterback on the move. He did scramble for some first downs and big plays, but he was able to keep him off his spot and really limited what they could do.
We're talking with defensive coordinator Zach Watkins for the Washburn Ichabods as the Ichabods gear up to take on a Nebraska Kearney Loper team. And you mentioned the front 4, and it's not the front 4, it's the front 9 or the front 10. Is it hard to do substitutions in there, or is it kind of like a hockey line change? All right, you guys go in here. You guys come out. Okay, you're a little dinged up. All right, you come in here. How do you do that?
Yeah, Coach Malin Luke and Coach Mitch Shirk, those guys are doing a great job of rotating their D line and finding out who's fresh. But you're right. We go 8, 9, 10 deep of guys who can play and guys who have played a lot of football for us. And so, you have your starters and you have your backups, but I think everybody that's in the game at any point can make a big play, can do their job. We have confidence in. And that's why you see so many guys coming through. And the deepest, most talented D line that we've had. And it's good to be able to get all those kids playing time. I think our defense in general is a pretty deep defense in all the positions right now. And there's not enough plays for all the guys we have to go around. We still want more guys to be able to play, be able to get in the games. But you're right, the D-line has really set the tone for the start of this season.
You take on a Nebraska Kearney offense that runs it. How would you describe it? Is it spread option? Is it how would you? It's not triple option, veer option. It's not that. How would you describe it?
Yeah, it's not the Army Navy or Harding playoff game we played last year under center triple option. We call it the spread option. So it's out of the gun, it's out of the shotgun formation and spread formations. But they have a lot of option plays, but it's just a really good balanced running attack, quarterback run game, running back run game, and option included. Based out of the spread and being able to defend that is almost more difficult than what we saw against Harding last year with the triple option because of how dynamic their quarterback is.
So when you got a dynamic quarterback, what's the number one key to trying to slow down a guy who had 1,100 yards rushing and 2,000 yards passing last year?
Yeah, you just have to give him different looks. You have to, especially in the option game, you have to give a different look of who's responsible for what dive quarterback pitch, who's the support player, who's the force player, just giving different looks to the quarterback so it's not the same every time. And he's too dynamic to completely shut him down to zero. You just have to limit what he can do. But you have to make sure defensively you're still sound in whatever you're doing, but also give your defense a chance to be successful on what you're calling.
The one thing about this type of offense is, to me, the big play. Because if you run this type of defense, or they have this type of offense, you can get some tackles for losses against this group. They're 5 yards in the backfield, and you have a chance, if one person misses a block, it's a 5-yard tackle for loss. But, man, with T.J. Davis, how important is it that solo tackling? Because there was a time last year, missed tackle, gone, 60 yards, touchdown. And they haven't had that yet this year. Longest run for T.J. Davis, 30 yards. How important is it, and do you stress that over certain things?
Absolutely, yeah. All we can practice has been open field tackling, open field getting off blocks, open field corralling, taking proper angle. We call it the cup tackle, a guy on each side of the ball, and just making sure that all of our calls and fits and angles are proper, because no matter how good the defense looks on the whiteboard, TJ Davis will make a few good plays and make you miss. And so the more consistent you can be and the more our guys have confidence in what we're doing, then hopefully it ends up in a good way.
Talking with Zach Watkins, defensive coordinator for the Washburn Ichabods, for the game on Saturday, 1 o'clock kickoff, 12:30 pregame coverage. Would you rather face this offense, or would you rather face a Central Missouri or an Emporia State type of offense?
Yeah, there's really there's no bad offenses in the MIAA. They're all unique, and they all have a lot of ways to attack you. So which one I'd rather face? I'm not sure. Each one presents challenges, but the good thing is that we've got enough depth and talented guys to be able to combat any scheme. The spread out formations of Emporia, or the tight formations of Kearney, and the passing game of Central. So each week in this conference provides a unique kind of perspective.
Goals? Kind of a fun question from Cody Hyman, your former protege, if you will. He was our question from the former. He said, how would you have seen the game of football evolve, and how have you adjusted to it? And defensively, just the goals. When we first got here, it was 14 points or less. If you give up 14 points or less, you didn't just have a great game defensively. You had one of the better games defensively maybe of a couple of years. So is there a number that you guys try to keep now that's realistic? You don't want to say 13 points. That might be unrealistic. So what is that number now?
Yeah, the number for us, it's not a certain number. It's never really about yards for us. It's just about points and takeaways. If you can, usually 21 points or
21
less,
is that kind of the number?
You kind of have a good chance to win that game. Now that's not a hard set,
Yeah.
fast goal of ours, but we feel like with our offense, how explosive. If we do a good job and give up 21 or less, you have a good chance to win every game. And we did that for the most part last year and had a good season because of it. That's kind of our goal leading into this season. In a game like last week where you give up, 32 points, well, you're still able to win that game because of how explosive your offense is. Kearney's that same type of offense. We'll have to do our job and make sure our guys can tackle. And, we give up 21 to Kearney, hopefully we'll have a chance to win.
You ready for a wild stat?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Here you go. What is Washburn's record when under head coach Craig Schurig? So 21 years. What is Washburn's record when they lead going into the fourth quarter?
I would say we have not lost many games when we've gone into the fourth quarter with the lead.
When Washburn leads going into the fourth quarter, Ichabod's 117 wins, 6 losses, 117-6.
So I was right.
Yeah. That's an incredible stat. Only 6 losses. That's it. Only 6 come from behind losses in 21 years. When Washburn has the lead, they don't relinquish it. It's been pretty good. Well, best of luck coming up on Saturday against the Nebraska Kearney Lopers, and we'll try to keep that quarterback from running wild.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Jake.
That is the defensive coordinator, Zach Watkins. He is also a former Hall of Famer for the Washburn Ichabods on the field as well. That'll do it here from Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. The Washburn Ichabods 2-0 have a chance to go to 3-0 for the first time since 2013. They take on the Lopers on Saturday. 1 o'clock kickoff, the way college football should be, and a 12:30 pregame coverage right here on your home for Washburn Athletics Country 106.9. So for head coach Craig Schurig, for defense coordinator Zach Watkins, for Evan Davidson back at the Country 106.9 studios, I am Jake Lamont saying so long from Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. If you want to catch the Chiefs, head over to the big 94.5 Country. We'll talk to you on Saturday at 12:30. Thanks, Evan.